Now, we've all got stress, but some of us react differently. If you're overweight, that's a sign that you have a good metabolism, even though it's hard to believe. But it means that your ancestors survived in the past whenever there were food shortages. Your body was very efficient at storing energy as fat to survive harsh winters when there was no food. But unfortunately now, when we have access to food 24/7 all year round, our bodies are reacting differently, and that's why so many of us struggle with our weight now, because we all had those good genes. Our ancestors were the ones that survived because they had this ability to store fat. Okay, so if you struggle with your weight, I know it's hard, but you should feel good about the fact that your ancestors were the ones that survived. But what's the problem today with stress? Well, when you're suffering from a lot of stress and you're reacting badly to stress, you make too much cortisol in your adrenal glands. And cortisol does many things, but it interferes with sugar metabolism. So it's aimed at getting sugar into your blood so that you can run away. So cortisol interferes with sugar metabolism. One of the things that it does is it stops glucose getting into your muscle cells. And that means you feel tired. You're not making much energy in your muscles and you don't feel like exercising. So you just want to sit on the sofa. And especially if you eat fructose, and many people eat fructose, they don't realize they're eating hidden fructose, and it interferes with energy production in the mitochondria, the little battery packs in our cells. So you might have muscle aches, you might feel tired and drained, and you just don't want to do anything. But at the same time, your blood glucose is going high because the glucose is not getting into your cells. But you also feel hungry because the glucose isn't getting to produce energy. So your body's saying, we need more energy, so you got to eat more. So all of these effects are producing feelings in you of tiredness and lethargy, and also hunger. So you're wanting to eat more. And cortisol is telling you that danger is coming, and that might be famine. So you've got to eat while you can, especially sugar, as you might need quick energy. So that's how it happens. But why do some people have a problem with cortisol and others don't? It's to do with your childhood. So everybody has a different kind of childhood. Some people obviously have a lot of stress. They're maybe suffering from abuse. But even if we don't have that in our lives, we can still be stressed in our childhood. So perhaps your parents separated when you were young, or there was stress in the family for some reason, or there was no one to show you how to manage stress, how to deal with stress. So in the past, generations past, like my generation and the generation before, who had to suffer the World War II, it was very much a question of just count your blessings and you just keep it to yourself and don't do anything about it. You're lucky to be alive and just get on with life and don't stress and don't worry. But those were different times. Those were times when there was a lot of family support, there was a lot of community support, people weren't living on their own. And so often people shared their stresses with family members, with friends. Sometimes everybody in the community was suffering the same stress. So there was a lot of support, and it was very different to how people are suffering now, because a lot of us suffer alone. And we don't have much support, and we don't have people to talk to. So now we need a different way. Everyone needs to learn how to manage stress. So whenever you were stressed as a child, you maybe didn't know how to manage it, how to release the stress. And so you maybe got used to hiding your feelings and hiding that stress and anxiety inside you, that there was no way to release it. And this is a learned behaviour. But also when you suffer a lot of stress as a child, it can also change your brain. And that means you react differently. your body produces more stress hormones like cortisol, and also the neurotransmitters are involved in anxiety like adrenaline, and so that means that when you grow up to be an adult, you react more to stresses, you are more sensitive to stress, and also you don't handle it as well as some other people. Now, you can change that. That's the good news. So first of all, now this isn't medical advice, this is advice to discuss with your health provider, but there are some really nice herbal supplements that can help you balance out your cortisol and not make so much. So you can take a mixture of herbs such as adrenatone, which is a mixture of really nice herbs for adrenal support, and it contains things like rhodiola, ashwagandha, Panax ginseng, and also Siberian ginseng. So these are adaptogens, they're herbs that will help you balance out your cortisol. So if it's too high, it'll help reduce it, and if it's too low, it'll help bring it up. So that's what I would do initially, because often you're not in the right mental state to work on your feelings and the way you react to stress. So taking a herb, one of these herbs, even just ashwagandha or rhodiola, can make a big difference into how you react to stress and how you feel. And that allows you to lift yourself up a level in terms of calmness and being able to deal with stresses that maybe happen at work, or financial stress, or relationship issues. And then that gets you in a better place to then work on the mental problems. So why you're reacting to stress, the thoughts that are going through your head, maybe recurring thoughts of low self-esteem. And you can then work on those thoughts. So the herbs will make you feel better and get you to a healthier state. Well, then you can now work on those problem thoughts, the feelings of low self-esteem, the feelings of guilt and shame and embarrassment that often people get when they're stressed, and worrying about the future. So you're better able to cope with those things and work on your thought patterns. And maybe with CBT or some of these other psychological strategies, then get to change the way your brain works and how you can manage stress better. And also then you feel more energetic because your muscles are getting sugar, you'll feel more energy, you maybe feel a bit more like exercising, and it doesn't have to be intensive, it could be just going out for a walk. And then how to release tension in other ways so that you're reducing your stress, you're reducing your cortisol levels, and then the weight may start falling off. Now, when your cortisol is high, it's telling your body to store energy as fat because famine might be coming. And so it can override Ozempic. So you can be taking your Ozempic properly, and under normal circumstances, if you're not stressed, it would reduce your appetite. But the cortisol is so strong that it can override that and increase your desire to eat, working against the Ozempic. So it's really in your own interest to deal with this while you're starting the Ozempic. So that will help reduce your appetite a bit and get you started in losing weight. But what happens when you come off the Ozempic? If you haven't dealt with this cortisol and stress, you're going to put the weight back on again. So now is the opportunity to focus on you and your health and get this cortisol under control for good so that you never have a weight problem again.